Whether you in a car, room, office, or tomb, Byron in the morning got to talk
Week
for all
8
the news.
fantasy football recap. Week 9 is about to be a doozy,
Back
but
again. Yeah.
we back again, man. We're flying by.
I can't believe this season's fantasy season is almost coming to a close. Getting to that home stretch where 10-team leagues, you're playing some teams twice after week 9, and then 12-team leagues, I'm sure you're just in a grind right now.
Yeah, things are grinding and right on the edge. I know we want to start off, it is a fantasy football show, but we always kind of forget that real people's lives are affected by fantasy football. It's kind of weird.
Absolutely.
So we definitely want to give a shout out to Cobb and Ridley. I think it's great what he did, and I think it's brave for him to come out in the climate that we're in and just say, hey, I'm struggling right now and I need to get myself together. I think that's awesome. I think more jobs need to be like the NFL and allow players and people to be humans, we're not robots. I thought that was great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that does get lost a lot with fantasy football and betting and everything like that. But
yeah,
they are humans. They are still doing a job. And even though they do get paid lots of money, if they can't perform at their best and if they're not mentally all there, then it's not going to benefit the team. It's not going to benefit them. It's not going to benefit the fans. So there's no reason to, talk down.
Tough it out.
At a guy when he's trying to work on himself.
Yep, 100%. People were pissed at him, and you ruined my fantasy squad. And like I said, this is real life though for other people. While your fantasy team may be ruined, Cobb got some stuff to figure out. So props to him and the Atlanta organization for accepting that news and handling it correctly.
Hope he gets better soon. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely hope he gets better soon. And some awfully sad news this week. I'm sure everybody's heard about it. The entire Henry Ruggs incident, and obviously prayers to the victim and their family, that what they're going through right now. Just a tragic loss that absolutely could have been avoided. Just there's nothing good comes from drinking and driving, like you said.
No, never. And usually nothing good happens after 12 o'clock at night either.
12 o'clock at night.
So just be smarter. Very avoidable mistake that happened that resulted in a tragedy.
Yeah, super tragedy, and people's lives are forever changed now. So just make smarter decisions, guys, and think about others a little bit. But with that somber note, move into week 8 recap. It was a hell of a NFL week, though, man. We got a dub. I got a dub. You're back in the fight now at 4-4. And you've made a gigantic trade today to add some weapons to the squad.
Yeah, after a tough 1-4 start to the season, kind of just not thinking there's any way out. I've rattled off a few wins, got back up to 500, sitting tied for 4th place right now. And I did make a big trade today where I shipped off Michael Carter, who's been fantastic these last 3 weeks. Looked really good with Mike White. We'll get into him a little bit later. And then Cortland Sutton, who's been up and down. He'll give you 20 points. He'll give you 5 points. So,
and Judy's back.
Yep. And usually the good outweighs the bad, but I'm just looking for a little bit more consistency. Went ahead and got Keenan Allen with the Mike Williams struggles. I'm hoping Herbert relies a little bit more on Keenan Allen like he did last year. Yeah. And then picked up Mike Davis. Wasn't the guy I wanted, but didn't want to let that second player derail the trade. I do think Davis still has some upside. He's still a good pass catching back. And then
he's a good floor.
Hopefully Patterson can play a little bit more receiver now that Atlanta needs some more weapons on the outside, and Davis can get a little bit more involved in the offense, goal line, everything like that.
Yeah, and Davis is a solid 6 to 7 fantasy points a day. So he's someone that you can at least count on if absolutely must. You need points. He's going to get you those carries and some goal line action if Atlanta ever gets to the goal line. But that was a fantastic trade by you, adding some depth to there. I moved to 6-2 and
looking good.
Hanging in there. Yeah, I'm at the second place spot, second most points scored, but the team in first place is undefeated right now, and they got Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp with Christian McCaffrey, who's not back yet. So he's got a wagon over there. But hey, fantasy football, we've seen crazier things. Start off the show, King Henry. Usually we start off the show talking about how dominant King Henry was the last 2-3 weeks. I think he's opened up like the last 3 shows we've had, but not the best news this time.
Man, it's so disappointing, not even just for fantasy reasons, but he was having a record-setting year. And I really wanted to know what he could have ran for given that there's an extra game this year, and he was on pace for well over 2,000 yards. So it is a big shot, and fantasy-wise, that kills. I don't know how much it's going to hurt Tannehill and A.J. Brown, because you got to think it does. But, he's the best player in fantasy by a large margin, and down he goes. And I'm guessing most teams that have him are at the top.
Yes, and I'm extremely sick that, I talked about him being injured, 2 weeks ago. It has to happen soon. But did not think it would happen like this, because this wasn't, a load management issue, So
and he played. He was still playing in the game.
Yeah. It sucks to see him done for the season, and everyone's obviously jumping on the waiver wire pickup, but I think this will be an entirely different team without Derrick Henry, an entirely different team. Ryan Tannehill is going to be affected. The receivers are going to be affected. You no longer have 8 guys or 7 guys in the box. I mean, you got Adrian Peterson and McNichols. Defenses can come back now. So I think this is going to be shock, and I don't see the Tennessee Titans making the playoffs now without Derrick Henry. Jameis Winston also done for the season over there in New Orleans. Hate to see that as well. I've been cheering for Jameis with his awful pregame speeches.
I don't know how much you watched of that Bucs game, though. He looked incredible.
He
was running with the ball. He was making plays with his arm. He was looking really good against that Bucs team. It's a shame to see Jameis go down like that, because now we got Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill for New Orleans, who we think is going to be a wild card team. But after that going, I don't know. And Michael Thomas is going to be out for the year now, too. So I'm selling on the Saints.
Yeah, I'm selling the Saints as well. Tough fantasy loss again. Not sure how this impacts the other receivers around there. You had a guy like Callaway already struggling. Not sure if you're more confident with him going in with a Trevor Siemian or Taysom Hill. Maybe they go super ground pound.
And they have good coaching.
Still Sean Payton, still Sean Payton.
Their defense is still really good, so they could still be a sneaky team that can win some games. Fantasy-wise, though, I'm probably sticking with Kamara, and that's about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, let's get into some people that we were kind of disappointed in. One's your boy Mike Williams.
Yeah, man, tough week for Mike Williams. I wasn't too happy. I'm not scared about it yet, though. I still think he is the most dominant receiving threat on the Chargers. Your boy Keenan Allen ain't bad, but I'm not too scared off by the Mike Williams, another tough week. I think he'll be bouncing back pretty soon. But your guy, who has been consistently not showing up to expectations, Antonio Gibson in the Washington football team.
Man, what's going on? I think he's hurt. And
I don't know what's going on there.
Their bye came at a right time, because you got to hope that coming out of the bye, he gets a little more time to get healthy and he can be the dominant force that we saw him last year be. But McKissick's really eating into that. The quarterback situation shaky. Fitzpatrick's probably coming back. I don't know about Curtis Samuel, but I don't know. That's something to monitor. The Washington football team they're not a good team, but fantasy-wise, you're still playing Terry. And I don't know if you're going to have much better options than Gibson when he's off his bye.
No, it's just very unfortunate. You drafted him very early, probably as your second back, who you thought had RB1 potential. So just not a very great season so far for him. And Nick Chubb returns from injury in week 8. Not an explosive comeback by any means. Told you about Dearness Johnson, man. I told you all. Keep him on your rosters.
Good. Yeah, he looked good. And obviously we've seen with Kareem Hunt around, the Browns utilize 2 running backs.
Yeah.
What's going on in Cleveland, though? Because Odell is on the outs.
Deuces. OBJ said, I'm done with this. And it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
His dad said he's done with this.
Got to be done with it, man.
Did you watch the video? All 11 minutes?
Do you know how much you have to miss to make an 11-minute video in 8 games?
11 minutes is a long time.
For in 8 games.
5 to 8 second plays.
It's very impressive.
They can't keep excusing him from practice. They have to either cut him or provide information to the league that shows that he's a detriment to the team. But
he's not.
Through the NFLPA, they can't continue to just hold him out of practice because they don't like what happened.
Another tough week for your boy Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs offense, honestly. I mean, besides Tyreek Hill doing Tyreek Hill things, the Chiefs still want what we're used to.
They look absolutely broken. And if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm very concerned. If I'm a Patrick Mahomes owner, I'm very concerned. Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, you got to think they're still going to hit their numbers every week where you're going to be fine playing them in fantasy. Same with Mahomes, but the turnovers have got to be hurting.
Yeah, turnovers are definitely hurting. We talked about the offensive line on numerous episodes. Just young guys trying to figure it out still. So got a 10-year contract. Maybe in year 4 or 5, they'll have one of the best O-lines in football. But this just may be one of those tough years in that 10-year deal he's got.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, a little bit of a head scratcher was the Eagles blew out the Lions, yet Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith scored their lowest totals on the season.
Insane.
They threw 14 passes.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts had, 91 passing yards?
Something like that. Devontae Smith had 2 catches, 1 catch.
Yeah, they blew.
So
they scored 40 points for the record, and my fantasy quarterback had 10.
Yeah, he failed to score 20 for the first time all year, and you can't be super excited about Boston Scott and Jordan Howard and Kenneth Gainwell. I know he didn't really play that much in the game, but that's probably a situation I'm trying to avoid right now because you also don't know what's going on with Jalen Hurts. You've been hearing Gardner Minshew. He came in late in the game when they were blowing Lions out already. So a lot of interesting, weird things going on in Philly right now.
Yeah, Philly's definitely under construction right now. Speaking of under construction, the Green Bay Packers had a fantastic game from your boy Randall Cobb last week.
I told you. I was all over it.
All over Randall Cobb. We were huge on it. He won me a league. And then we come into this week, no Aaron Rodgers, no Devontae Adams possibly.
No, Devontae's going to be back. They say
Devontae
just got put off the COVID list today. So he should still be your guy. Devontae Adams is that guy. But it's Jordan Love throwing the ball.
Quarterback. How risky are they going to be with Jordan Love? Is it going to be an Aaron Jones dependent day?
You would think so.
A-Rod's out for at least 2 weeks because he's unvaccinated. It's a whole – everything's under construction right now.
Yeah, A-Rod is immunized. But according to the NFL, he was never vaccinated or anything like that. That's awesome, though. He gave that press conference at the beginning of the season. I'm immunized.
And you guys took that as assuming I was vaccinated and ran with the story. He's just like, your fault. I never said I was.
Yeah, he didn't own it like Cole Beasley or Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, no, he's just like, don't ask, don't tell.
I don't know. The Packers play the Chiefs. We know the Chiefs' defense isn't that good. So you got to think a lot of Aaron Jones, probably sprinkle in some A.J. Dillon. Tunyon going down is a big loss because he was starting to look good in that game. Yeah, I don't know how much you can trust Randall Cobb this week without Aaron Rodgers. So another team that I'm probably, if you don't have those 2 top guys, Jones or Adams, you're probably looking to avoid.
With all the big injuries in week 8, what are some waiver wire guys you were looking at? And then we talked about the Philadelphia Eagles backfield, possibly the Titans with Jeremy McNichols and Adrian Peterson getting signed. Who else are you looking at? You touching any of those quarterbacks who had some fantastic days?
So he actually is coming back. We saw him play a small sample size last year when the starting quarterback went down. But you got to think Taysom Hill is going to be a weapon. He's going to be utilized so much more in the game, whether that's at quarterback or it's at his, floater kind of role. I don't know who's starting right now, if it's Simeon or Taysom Hill, but we're going to see some Taysom Hill. So he's the guy I'm looking at. And then, for some maybe pass catching, some higher upside guys, Pat Friermuth looked really good. And if Ebron's not playing or Ebron's hurt, he could be that guy, especially in the red zone.
It's just so hard to trust that Pittsburgh.
To trust Ben. Yeah, keep deflecting. It's the offensive line. It's this, it's that. It's Ben. Okay. It's tough to trust Ben. And I agree. Ben has to trust his offensive line, which is a problem. But they looked okay against the Browns. They actually kind of manned up a little bit. Najee had a good day on the ground. And they didn't lose the game. Ben wasn't turning the ball over. So they played a sound game.
Yeah, maybe they're figuring it out now. Maybe Ben's coming into his own.
And they get to play Chicago Monday night. They play the Lions in 2 weeks or next week. Their schedule is a little, light.
They're getting into a good spot where they can figure out some things and get into a nice little groove.
What about a guy like
I'm looking
Jamal Agnew?
I was gonna say Jamal Agnew.
Are you picking Jamal up?
I'm not picking him up because I still think James Robinson's going to play this week. They really haven't called him doubtful yet. He's still just been questionable and saying he'd avoid a scare. So, but Agnew's been a guy who's we've seen on red zone a lot this year. And I'm not sure if he'll be an every down back for them, but I think he has some receiving potential.
Yeah, he'll probably play a little bit in the slot and outside because Laviska just hasn't been doing enough. Since they lost Chark, they've been really relying on Marvin Jones, but they need some help.
It's tough to pick up a guy on a team that's so bad. You know,
I agree.
Like the Lions wide receiver 1 is a free agent in most of my leagues. It's just hard to like grab a guy who, you know, the potential is there, but like your team's not good. And your team doesn't score more than 14 points a week.
Yeah.
And it makes it difficult because the name of the game is touchdowns.
Now you want to look at some guys and some good offenses. Amari Cooper with Cooper Rush played great. Like finally after that week 1, you know, big performance. He's been really quiet ever since. Finally kind of got back on track. What do you see with Cooper and the Cowboys offense now that Dak is supposed to play this Sunday?
Yeah, if Dak comes back, I think you got to be all in on Amari Cooper still rebounding. I think that they do have the ability to get Cooper and Lamb involved together. But it was just, I think week 8 was a week of backup QBs who are in that starting role, like making guys show up. You know, Tyler Lockett came back out to play for us, had a fantastic week.
Because they had to help out their quarterbacks. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, like, I think this week those backup QBs stepped up, but those receivers stepped up to help those guys up.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you're going to go all in on the backup QBs like Mike White and Geno Smith and Taysom Hill. Slow your roll. But
super flex, 2 QBs maybe.
You should feel more confident, I think, with playing a guy like Lockett now and playing a guy like Amari Cooper, even if their starters don't come back.
Yeah. Now, 2 guys I did want to ask you about because they've been trending up for most of the season. One guy was hurt for a while, but he's been back, is Michael Pittman and Elijah Mitchell. Because those 2 look like absolute studs right now and fantasy must-starts.
Elijah Mitchell's looking so good, I'm off the Jeff Wilson bandwagon. Like that's how good Elijah Mitchell is that I don't think when Jeff Wilson comes back, he's a starter anymore. Elijah Mitchell has taken that backfield, and I think everyone else in that team should honestly be worried. Even though the 49ers are a team known for running backs, you got a guy like Trey Sermon drafted early, and
he can't see the field.
He can't see the field. You got Mostert coming back next year. Mostert
I was so high on Ayuk before the season. Yeah. Hasn't done much. Besides Deebo Samuel, it's, you know, the San Francisco offense is stay away.
Elijah Mitchell's
Mitchell is coming up, and if they find a guy in San Francisco they can trust and they can give the ball to 20 times a game, the way they block in their scheme, he's going to get you a lot of fantasy points.
Yeah, they'll roll with it for sure. And Michael Pittman's looking scary.
He's a number 1.
Paris Campbell.
He's a number 1. And
Paris Campbell who? You know, like he's come here and just taken this job. I mean, he came as like, okay, he'll be a good slot receiver for us. No, he's the number 1 receiver there. He's passed everyone on the roster that he was behind to start the year. Zach Pascal, Paris Campbell, T.Y. Hilton, obviously injuries derailed his start, but Michael Pittman's the receiver in Indianapolis for years to come. It's scary.
And Carson's been throwing the ball pretty well, so I got to be pretty excited if you got Michael Pittman because you got him for cheap.
Yeah, very cheap. And he's a keeper in any league that you draft him in when you have that ability. I'm sure he was taking, 10 rounds and below.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, we got week 9 coming up. Start off tonight with Thursday Night Football with the Jets at the Colts. Let's see if Mike White can keep it up. I'm not sure if I'm still playing him fantasy-wise or even any of the receivers, but I'm all in on Michael Carter this week. I think against a good Colts defense still, I think Michael Carter is fine. And then the Colts, you got to start Jonathan Taylor.
My boy. Yeah. And I'm starting Carson Wentz tonight because I don't think the Jets are any good, but Thursday night games are always weird. So stick with your studs. If you don't, you're on the fence with someone, I'd probably hold him out. Even if he has a big game, you can come back from that on Sunday or Monday night.
Slides into Sunday at 1:00. We got the Raiders at the Giants.
Going to the East Coast. A little bit of a scary game there, but again, I don't think the Giants are any good. Saquon had a false positive test. I don't know if he's playing or not. Giants got a bunch of COVID issues right now. Raiders are coming off a bye. I think this is a Raiders game. Derek Carr, Darren Waller, get back on track.
Hunter Renfrow could be a great pickup this week. Obviously, like we discussed, no Henry
Love
Ruggs.
Hunter. Yep.
I love Hunter Renfrow going into this week. He's a potential flex start, I think.
Yep.
Go ahead and pick up Bryan Edwards as well. You assume he'll be the number one receiving running the X, but Hunter Renfrow is my guy, I think, this week. Big waiver wire pickup.
If you've been sitting on him for a little bit, you're pretty happy.
Yeah.
On the other side, depends on what receivers are playing.
Not touching. I'm done.
But
I am
tough.
done with the receivers. No, I don't want to hear Sterling Shepard. I don't
You like
want to
Tony?
hear it. Done with him. Nope.
Okay. All right.
Mostly because Daniel Dimes isn't diming anything but the other team. Saquon Barkley, I think, is the only start. If he doesn't play, you can start Booker.
You can start Booker, yep.
I'm not really liking much on the Giants team right now. I'm not going to lie to you.
No, the offense doesn't look – the team doesn't look great, and they had a pretty bad loss on Monday night that they could have beat the Chiefs. So I think their season's kind of over before it started.
100%.
Falcons going to the Saints in New Orleans.
No quarterback.
This is a game, though, that it's going to be ugly. Divisional game. Probably see the Saints pull it out just because their defense. We saw the Falcons struggle with Carolina, who has a similar defense, same division. So I think the Falcons, again, they're going to struggle with the Saints.
Very unfortunate. I hope to see a lot of Kyle Pitts this week. Hopefully he can rebound from a tough week.
You better, because you got to keep starting them.
Got to keep starting them. He's been too good not to start. Cordell Patterson, I think you can start.
Keep starting them. Yep.
And as far as the Saints go, like I said, Alvin Kamara is honestly my only comfortable start. You need to see what you're going to get from that offense first.
Yeah, if you want to roster Callaway or Mark Ingram, like that's fine. It's not a play yet. I don't think. You need to see it a little bit more from Ingram. You need to see how they're going to share those carries. Bills Jaguars, I think that's a game we can probably just brush over as well. It should be Bills by like
Start
50.
Start your Bills.
Yeah.
But the Browns and the Bengals, this is a game.
Battle of Ohio.
Battle of Ohio. We have no clue what's going on in Cleveland right now as far as the receivers go. I would not touch any of them. Running backs, I'm starting Nick Chubb. And if you need Dearness Johnson, he could be a flex play for you. You're not loving the volume he's getting right now. He's not getting Kareem Hunt volume. But he's shown that he has touchdown ability to break up a good play. So
absolutely. And I'd stay away from Baker as well. And you got to think since he's going to be coming pretty tough after that loss to the Jets. And they've been a pretty big offensive juggernaut all year. So you're still starting Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd look good. T. Higgins still looks good. So,
good,
you know, those are some guys that if you have them, you're playing them. And Joe Mixon.
And Joe Mixon is a must start, one of the best running backs, and avoided a big injury. He's been so consistent this year.
Absolutely.
So I'm all in on Joe Mixon. Patriots and the Panthers.
Sneaky
Stephon
game.
Gilmore saying what's up to Bill, probably flicking him off. He's going to Carolina. It's going to be a sneaky game, though. I think Mac Jones and that Patriots offense may struggle.
I think Mac Jones is going to struggle because that Panther secondary is really good. I think you're still starting Damian Harris. But I don't think I'm touching Jacoby Myers.
I don't know if you can touch him this game.
I hope he finds the end zone. Let's just say that. And then you got to be worried on the other side of the ball because Darnold has not looked good at all. If they do get McCaffrey back, it's going to be a different Panthers offense, and that's just going to open up things for DJ Moore. But if they don't get McCaffrey back, we might see a little bit more of the same, a little bit more of Matt Judon getting in the quarterback's face.
Yeah, could be a lot of Judon sacks coming up if you don't get Christian McCaffrey back because he doesn't have to play the pass rush. He doesn't play McCaffrey coming off the edge. He's in the backfield a lot. Could be a sneaky game. I'm not touching Jacoby Myers. DJ Moore has struggled the last 2 to 3 weeks. Where are you at with him?
He's still a guy you're starting. You know, he's a wide receiver 2, getting wide receiver 1 volume. But if he's not producing like that guy that you need to, it's tough because you don't have better options. He's the best receiver on that team. You got to just hope week in and week out that the Panthers can figure it out. Sam Darnold can figure it out. If it's PJ Walker or someone else in there, I'd be a lot more worried.
100%. And you got the Broncos at the Cowboys next. Fantasy-wise, you hate to see it for the Broncos defense owners. Number 6 defense in football as fantasy is concerned. Bye-bye Von Miller. He has to Cali. So that Broncos defense, you don't like to start them for the next couple of weeks coming up, especially with the schedule that they got. But I think offensively, you're looking at starting Javonte Williams and take your chance on the receivers. Melvin
Yeah.
Gordon's still a start, I think. Melvin Gordon's been solid, but those receivers have been tough.
The Broncos have been tough.
Patrick's, I can't really figure it out with Tim Patrick.
I think Tim Patrick's kind of on the outs now that Judy's back. We don't know if Fant's going to play. Fant did have a COVID positive test. So if Fant doesn't play, you feel a little bit better about the receivers. If he does play, it's a shot in the dark.
Yeah, use any mini mighty mo for Denver's receiver you want to take.
And hopefully, I need CeeDee Lamb to play, man. He had a little ankle injury in practice. He's still practicing, but I think they're going to kind of limit him a little bit. If Dak's going to play, I think CD plays. And then you're starting Cooper, you're starting Zeke. You're probably starting Dalton Schultz. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything here on that Denver defense, despite how good they are, that I wouldn't start any of the boys. I say go ahead and start them up. Vikings at the Ravens. Should be a very good game. Fantasy-wise, I think you got a bunch of must-starts going on.
Very fantasy relevant, for sure. You got, your Vikings, you're starting both receivers. You're starting Dalvin Cook. You might start Tyler Conklin. Yeah. I know the Ravens haven't been great against tight ends, so that's one guy that you could maybe throw in your lineup as a hope he gets a touchdown type of play. And then the Ravens, you're just happy Lamar's back if he's your quarterback after coming off bye the last week. Receivers, you're playing Hollywood Brown. You're playing Mark Andrews. I'd be a little worried if I had to play a Bateman. But
hold on to him.
Yeah, he's a guy that's going to get more involved in the offense as the season progresses. Kind of like a Rondell Moore. I'm kind of skipping ahead to the Cardinals game. Assuming A.J. Green's going to be out, we got the Cardinals at the 49ers. Rondell Moore and Christian Kirk could be sneaky plays with more volume, expected now that A.J. Green's on the COVID list.
Yeah, no, definitely going to be a good one. We'll get into that one as soon as we finish our last 1 p.m. game in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. got the Texans against the Dolphins. Dolphins said they did their due diligence and said, "Fuck no, we're good on him." So I don't know what they found that the press and the police haven't found yet. But Miami said we're good on this one. Texans traveling to Miami. I don't know what you're starting in Houston right now besides a guy like Brandon Cooks.
Well, Taylor's back, so you got to feel better about starting Cooks because with Taylor was at quarterback, Cooks was, producing a lot more for you. No, other than that, I'm avoiding all Texans at all costs. But you actually do have a few guys on that other side of the ball for the Dolphins offense that you can start. Gesicki's been really good. Gaskin's been very up and down, but he's usually good in matchups with bad defenses.
And he loves playing at home.
That's what we see here.
Yeah.
And then Jalen Waddle has a high floor. He gets freaking 8 to 10 targets a game. He may get 40 yards, but he's getting the ball. And
the Alabama connection is definitely real.
He's going to show that explosive speed one of these days.
Yeah, the Bama connection is definitely real in Miami. If I'm Devontae Parker owner, you're not happy about that connection that those two got. He's a guy who's come in with high projections every week. Decent floor for Parker, but just hasn't had that explosive game that we expect out of him. I think he came in
not like what we saw with Fitzpatrick.
30-year season last year. Yeah.
No, he's a good receiver, but Tua can't get him the ball right now. It's tough to put him in your starting lineup.
Yeah, 4 p.m. game. We got a game full of a bunch of bullies. Chargers get the Eagles first. If Jalen Hurts shows up, of course, this could be a great game, but the Chargers could, take out some pain last week. Mike Williams could have a day. The Eagles don't have a great defensive secondary. I'm starting everybody I got as far as the Chargers are concerned. Jared Cook even looks eligible this week at the tight end spot.
No, I agree. I think the Chargers have had 2 bad outings. They had the Ravens game where they looked terrible. They had a bye, and then they still looked bad and lost to the Patriots.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be on a mission. Hopefully, it is an East Coast game where they got to travel. So hopefully that doesn't throw them off. But luckily, it's a 4:00 game. It's not a 1:00 game.
Yep. And you got the Packers at the Chiefs. Chiefs didn't really rebound much against the Giants like we thought they would. Can you rebound against an Aaron Rodgers-less Packers? For the Packers concerned, like I said, no A-Rod, but you're still going to start Aaron Rodgers, and Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams. He's a must start.
Absolutely.
And with the Chiefs, I think you're still going to start the same 3 people, including Pat Mahomes. I'm not sure if I'm going further down the receivers list with guys like Nico and Gordon anymore.
No, but we're getting to that point where, both you and I are Darrell Williams owners. We saw a lot of Derek Gore, and we haven't even talked about Derek Gore. Clyde Edwards is coming back.
It's only one game, and I'm scared that it's a thing, so I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully that Derek Gore is not a thing.
Yeah, Clyde Edwards is also coming back, so this may be the last week where you can confidently play Darrell Williams if there is no Clyde. I'm not going to play him this week. I do think I have just some better options maybe, but I don't know. We'll see.
I'm going to take one more risk on him because I cannot trust Chase Claypool and the Pittsburgh.
I'm playing Claypool on Monday night.
So you
against Chicago.
You'll play Claypool Monday. I'm playing Darrell Williams. We'll see who does better.
Yeah.
You guys know my role. If it's between the receiver and the running back, I'm taking the starting running back every time because of the floor. But hey, I hope Claypool
every time Claypool, stirs some stuff up on Twitter or is in the news, usually has a big game, and the Steelers are wearing some pretty cool jerseys.
That's true.
So.
That's true. That could be the finishing touch. Cardinals at the 49ers. You said no AJ Green, but I think you're still loving a lot of Cardinals players. The only team that I confidently start two running backs on the same team, and I've got no problem with it, Connor and Edmonds. I think that continues this week against the 49ers. You like
Kyler doesn't play, though.
Well, no Kyler Murray. I'm definitely playing two running backs.
Okay. Because they got Colt McCoy under center.
He's
and Kyler doesn't play.
Oh, yeah. If it's Colt McCoy, he hasn't done anything but hand out the ball in the last couple of years.
Absolutely. Just running that scout team. On the other side, hopefully Deebo Samuel plays because he's been awesome for you all year.
Fire.
Elijah Mitchell's your other guy, but then that's really it. We'll see when Kittle comes back. He's a guy you can put in your lineup, but do not trust Ayuk and don't go anywhere else down that running back room.
Yeah.
Nothing good for you.
I don't think San Fran has made enough of an effort to get Ayuk the ball. That's just a little disappointing with how much of a talent he is. Sunday night, the Titans at the Rams could be a blowout. Who knows?
Man, without Henry,
without Derrick Henry. So I have no clue.
Because this is a heavyweight fight with Derrick Henry going up against this Rams defense. They just picked up Von Miller.
Yeah.
Now we lose, the marquee player for the Titans. We'll see how Ryan Tannehill and the boys respond, but I agree. The Rams at home, they should be able to take care of business.
Yeah, I'm thinking at least a lot of Rams offense with no Derrick Henry. So I'm liking Cooper Kupp. I'm liking Robert Woods.
Yep.
And Van Jefferson's a waiver wire pickup. You should go ahead and hop onto your roster if you don't have Van Jefferson yet. No Deshaun Jackson now, so Van is stepping into that third option there. Obviously, you're starting Henderson.
Yep.
And for the Titans, like I said.
Titans is A.J. Brown, Julio maybe. You probably want to wait and see what those running backs are going to do before starting them against one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
So we got to think it's going to be a heavy pass attack. I am excited to see Adrian Peterson back in the fold. I think today, like his rookie debut, he had 200, not rookie debut, but his rookie season. Yeah. He had like 280, 90 yards, something crazy. So excited to get one of the best all-time running backs back in the league.
Such an unfortunate waiver wire week because you got guys who usually in the waiver wire, you pick them up and you can't wait to play them.
Because you just saw it.
These two guys are the top guys on waiver wires, and you're not playing them this week against the Rams defense.
Yeah. No, I'd be very worried. And like you mentioned, if Van Jefferson's on waivers, you go pick him up because he's the number 3 in a really good offense. Obviously, Matthew Stafford and him have some chemistry, and he's getting some red zone looks.
And Sean gets him involved. Wide receiver reverses, wide receiver passes, little things like Ayuk's supposed to be getting involved in San Fran.
Right.
But the last game of the week, the Bears at the Steelers. Love to end football with a W. I hope Pittsburgh pulls it out. Fantasy-wise, though, I'm nervous. Fantasy-wise, I'm nervous. I think you start Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, probably.
Start Najee Harris.
I'd be worried if I'm starting. We talked about Allen Robinson last week. He still hasn't been good. Mooney's been the number 1 receiver there with Fields under center. But the Steelers' defenses look really good in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I'd be a little worried if I was a Bears fan or a Bears owner because I think T.J. Watt and the boys might get after Justin Fields.
Starting Khalil Herbert's a risk this week. This is a very good runs defense. I think you have to start him because of his potential volume, but
he's getting 20-some carries.
Defense. He'll get 20 carries, but don't be surprised if it's 20 carries for 62 yards and no touchdowns.
Right.
Very possible.
On the other side, you're obviously starting Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson like you have been all year. I do think this is a game where potentially Chase Claypool has a little bit of a showing. I'm hoping for at least.
It's Monday night, right? He has
the lights
to.
are on. Like the
Don't-
stars,
I
come
might
out to
change
play
it.
on Monday night.
I might change the lineup pre-game decision. We'll see.
I think a lot of it depends on what you hear from the Chiefs. If Darrell Williams is still going to be that lead back, he's going to share some more time with Gore.
Yeah.
Clyde Edwards kind of lurking. So I don't know. I think a lot of the attention for the Chicago Bears defense is going to be put on Najee Harris and put on Deontay Johnson. So I'm hoping Claypool is kind of that third guy that they're not really looking at, and he catches a touchdown.
We need it. I need it bad, Schwa. We need a W.
Should be a good week.
We need a W. Should be a fantastic week 9, though. Cleats of the week, we stand right there in Pittsburgh. Your boy TJ Watt has some fantastic spooky shoes.
He did. He really showed out.
W.
I also got to give a shout out to their opponent, though, because Myles Garrett had one of the best costumes with the Sack Reaper, the Grim Reaper, whatever you want to call him. He kind of foreshadowed it when he put all the tombstones of the quarterbacks in his yard with that list of all the quarterbacks that he sacked. That's got to be just so cool to be able to like, oh, yeah, no, I sacked that guy and that guy and that guy and basically the whole league.
Basically the whole league. It was very sweet. Didn't get the W, though. Like Big Ben said, we'll take the wins, but definitely
he owns Cleveland.
Yeah.
He owns Cleveland.
You know, gotta own good quarterbacks own one team. Aaron Rodgers.
I think if
Brady,
it's like
Big Ben.
owner rankings in Cleveland, probably Dan Gilbert's like number 1. LeBron still is number 2, but then Big Ben's probably 3 right there.
Big Ben has good real estate in Ohio.
Yeah.
Very good real estate.
Absolutely.
Well, that's gonna do it, Schwa, for Week 8 recap. Y'all be safe this week. Good decisions. Please enjoy some fantasy.
And protect your mentals.
Definitely.
And your chicken.
Get your chicken right.
I'm doing what I want.
Peace.
This dream. And I wanna know when I was 16, Big Ben, he thought a pig immensely.